Hello guys, and welcome to my first video. Today I decided I will be reviewing some of the worst rated games on Steam because I wanna see how bad they really are. I picked games that not only have bad reviews but have a lot of reviews in general. For example, I didn't choose like this game because it only has 32 reviews. True, are mostly negative, but I think it's better to choose something like this game because it has 1300 reviews and are overwhelmingly negative. The first game is called GASP and has the lowest rating on Steam. You can also buy the DLC for €2.99. So what's the game about? You take control of a lone astronaut that lands on the surface of a planet miles away from the other members, and it's your job to meet up with the other astronauts.
Hello? Respond. Are you okay? Hello? Respond.
So at the beginning you just kinda get thrown into the game, and then the woman starts screaming at you and you kinda have no idea what's happening. She kinda explains it, but meh. The second thing is that mouse cursor is not going away. Nothing worked, which is really annoying. The next part that is really interesting to me is that the asteroids that are falling from the space all the time give you no danger at all. They just cannot kill you. Whatever you do, you just cannot be killed by them. And the ones that you see hit the ground bounce away or roll around or just disappear. Any of those possibilities. And the game sometimes, usually when you jump, becomes darker, which is also really annoying. And here it is, the last part. When I reached the signal after a 15-minute walk in a straight line, no screwing around, 15 minutes, okay almost, but it was more than 10. I came to the signal and there is nothing I can do. I mean, what would you even put that in if I cannot interact with it? So I thought maybe I have to walk to the next signal, which is another 15 minutes away. So screw you, I ain't doing that. So I was kinda done with the game at this point, 20 minutes in. Okay, so the next game is called Bloodwood Reload, and judging by its Steam page, it kinda intrigued me the most. Okay, a little bit about the game. The game is set in a small village in Central Europe that has a forest growing around the village, which wood is red color, and the logging company sends their best man to investigate, but then something goes horribly wrong. Something like that. So the game starts in Spanish, at least I think it does, but that's not that big of a problem because changing the language is fairly easy. So the first thing I noticed when I started the game is that the mouse controls are horrible. Really horrible. The next thing is that when you try to talk to anyone, they just walk away from you, so you have to chase them down and click the interact button that is clumsy on its own just to get a response that they are busy and cannot talk to you right now. This was also the part that I figured out that there is no voice acting in this game, which I cannot list as a con. When you find an inn and you talk to the innkeeper, instead of hearing his voice, you hear a very strange, creepy voice that sounds like there is a man snoring while being trapped in the air condition tube. In the conversation, you have a couple of conversation options you can choose from. And you find out that you should talk to the priest and the farmer, and the innkeeper gives you the key to your room on the upper floor, which is also the only room in the inn. When you unlock the door, the protagonist asks if this is the right room, even though this is the only room. And even when I entered the room, I noticed that there's nothing you can do in it. So after that, I decided to talk to the priest that the innkeeper told me to do, and when I approached him, he just kept on walking and told me that he's busy and can't talk to me. So at that time, I became lost. There are 3 characters I found in the game. Only one is not afraid to admit that he's not doing anything at all and agrees to talk to me and tells me to talk to the other 2, which you cannot do. So by having no idea what to do, I just walked around searching for what cannot be found. And then it happened. When I was losing patience in this game, I discovered that the character you're playing is actually Moses. And let me explain why I think that. The game only has the top layer of water, so when you go under that top layer, you're not in the water anymore. You can breathe, run and jump, so the only explanation is that you pushed the water aside so you can lead your Hebrews across the sea only to kill Egyptian army that is following you. Now I am an atheist, but this still impressed me so much that I think this is going to be my favorite game from now on. I mean, Witcher 3 who?
Ha ha ha.
Moving on to the next game called A Step into Darkness, which also didn't look like such a bad game as people were saying, but you be the judge. So a little bit about this game. This is supposed to be an indie horror game in which you play as a journalist desperate to redeem himself after he makes the biggest mistake of his life. You are sent on a mission to the woodlands to find and document the most mysterious of creatures. So I had a problem with this game even before I started it, because the game doesn't support my native resolution, which is 1680 to 1050, so I had to play it in 1080, which wasn't that horrible. I just couldn't see everything that's happening on my screen, but that is the smallest problem of them all.
I have made a terrible mistake. And now, in the dark recesses of REM sleep, the only person I have ever loved hangs in limbo. But today...
When I started this game, I was pleasantly surprised that there was some kind of a cutscene or something going on at the beginning, which was a nice touch, even though the voice acting in this game is not really good, but it doesn't really matter because all of that went away as soon as I started moving my character. The sound of walking is one of the worst I have ever experienced in a video game.
What's your point?
When you arrive into the next room, you have to answer the phone, and at that time you realize that voice acting is actually really poor.
But that's not why you're here today.
So, why did you text me in such a hurry?
I've received reports of strange occurrences in a forest nearby.
Any idea of what it might be?
Today, August 7th. I'll give you instructions once you get there.
When the call is done, it starts all over again, which sounds bad, but it really isn't, because you can skip it at any time, which I liked, because the game is giving you options, which is never a bad thing. So after that, you pick up your car keys and a camera, and then you have to find your car where the next cutscene follows, which was again pretty neat, no matter that it was poorly made.
Pick them up and he'll come to you. And we need every bit of evidence you can.
When you arrive into the forest, you get an objective to find some notes. You do have a flashlight, which unfortunately dies pretty soon, and after that notes are impossible to find, which I think it's the same even with the flashlight alive. I spent quite some time wandering around the forest and I think I found 2 tapes and nothing more. And after that I kinda gave up on the game, but I do have to say that I don't think this is a horrible game. It has potential, but the developers would just have to put a lot more work into it. And with that I would like to end my video. If you came this far, I would like to thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video and goodbye.